What's your personal story involving 9/11?
Well, I was sitting in the kitchen in the firehouse in Engine 202 watching the news like we do every morning with everybody around the kitchen. And all of a sudden there's a news flash on the news that an airplane has hit the Twin Towers. So I couldn't believe it. So what I did was I ran upstairs and onto the roof through a scuttle ladder and pretty much looked across the sky because my firehouse was just across the river on the Brooklyn side, and you could see the Twin Towers, and I remember seeing all this black smoke, and it had to be at least 30 floors of fire, and I just remember saying to myself, how the hell are we going to put that out? So obviously the companies responded, and we lost 7 men that day that were on the truck in Ladder 101. They went out and they never came back. Next question.
What parts of 9/11 did you see yourself?
I saw pretty much from the beginning, from when the first plane hit to the second plane, and then when everybody mustered back up to the firehouse, whoever was either off or not working on vacation, whatever. Me personally, I was going home, and they let us go home. So what we did was somehow or another, a couple of guys commandeered a fire truck. I don't know where they got it from, but they did. And we all met by the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which the firehouse was right near the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. So I want to say if the truck sat 6 people, we probably had 12 people on the truck, guys sitting on ladders, guys hanging off, and we tried to go through the tunnel, but we couldn't make it through the tunnel because there was so many people coming through the Battery Tunnel. So then we started out and we went over to the Brooklyn Bridge, and then we tried to get over the Brooklyn Bridge, but it was the same thing. There was thousands and thousands of people walking over from Manhattan into Brooklyn. We had to go to the next bridge, which was the Manhattan Bridge, which we finally got to go through, and then we went into Manhattan, into Lower Manhattan, where the Twin Towers were, and guys just dispersed, and they just started doing different jobs, which everybody, when you work in the firehouse, everybody has a job to do. So me personally, I was an engine chauffeur at the time, so I went over to one of the engines that were nearby, and we started pumping water. And as far as what I saw, well, it was pretty much probably about a foot of soot and thousands of papers all over the floor, and a lot of smoke, a lot of fire, and it's, like I said before, I was saying to myself, I don't know how we're going to put that out, but we started putting it out, and we saw bodies everywhere, a lot of dead bodies, and the PD, what they were doing was, if there was a body on the floor, they would try and cover it up, and if they couldn't cover it up, they would stand by the body and make sure nobody stepped on it or trampled it or anything like that. So that's what I saw myself. A lot of tragedy, a lot of people screaming and crying, and then you also had a lot of good people, a lot of volunteers that were pretty much giving us water, giving us food, because we were there for probably like 24 hours before any one of us went back to the firehouse. So we saw a lot of tragedy that day and a lot of bad things.
Firehouse change after 9/11. How?
It most certainly did. After September 11th, we lost a lot of experienced men, and we lost a lot of years and years of experience, and we lost a lot of good men. A lot of our senior men were killed that day. A lot of our chiefs and higher-ups were lost. So we were pretty much, for the first couple of days, it was chaos. We had no communication, we had no radios, so we pretty much were on our own and trying to do the best job that we could with the tools that we had to work with.
Paranoid after 9/11?
No, we had pretty much good counselors at the time and a lot of good people helping us and offering us their support for whatever it was we needed.
Reaction of the call for 9/11?
Well, like I said earlier, could not believe what had happened, and we could not believe that a plane just hit the Trade Center, and then once the second plane hit, then we knew we were under some kind of attack, especially when a plane hit the Pentagon, and then another plane went down in Pennsylvania.
Feel to watch this tragedy happen?
Well, I hope that nobody ever has to experience this tragedy again, ever, because it's just something that you never forget.
What kind of impact do you think 9/11 had on America?
Well, I think it definitely brought the country back together, and a lot of pride and strength came from this tragedy. Unfortunately, right after that, we went into a war that has not ended, but these are the things that you have to deal with. If you like your freedom, well, then you have to pay for it one way or another, unfortunately.
Is 9/11 a sensitive subject to you?
Well, I wouldn't call it sensitive, but I did lose 7 good guys that I work with, 7 friends from my house. But in total, I lost personally 50 friends that day, that 50 firemen that I knew. Whether they were officers or firemen, they were people that I actually knew. So that's a pretty big number.
How was life different after 9/11?
Well, we pretty much after September 11th, life wasn't taken for granted as much as it was before, because you could be here one day and be gone the next, and that's terrible.
You learn from this experience?
What did I learn? I learned that life is very short, and you should enjoy life every day as much as you can, and just don't let so many things bother you that normally would. Just life is too short to. I don't know. Life is just too short to worry about a lot of silly things.
To that day, would you do anything different?
Nope, I don't think I would. I would probably do the same thing that I did that day. Just get in there and help out, and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't think so. I just